So, what's the difference for people that are hearing both and are just getting familiar with Alice Waters? What's the Alice Waters Institute? What's Edible Schoolyard Project?
Okay, good question. So I think many people know who Alice Waters is. She's the godmother of Farm to Table Restaurant, opened Chez Panisse Restaurant in Berkeley in 1971 with some friends. And she just wanted to have a place where people could gather and eat and talk about politics and film. And, this was really the heyday of the hippies in Berkeley and alternative lifestyles and protests. And she really loved and loves all of that. And she had lived in France also and was just moved by how people ate there, how they shopped every day, how they made very simple food, but it was so fresh and in season that it was just an epiphany meal. And she really wanted to try to do that back here in the United States in California. And this was at a time when, a fancy restaurant was the big French restaurant, and you would go and you have escargot and you'd have entrecôte de boeuf and you would have, a big red wine. And she wasn't interested in that. And so she decided to open a restaurant with a fixed menu. So there's no choice. You come in, and I think it was $4.99 or $5.99, something like that. And it was a three-course menu, and you could get it with wine or without wine. And I think there was coffee and tea, and that was it. And it was just a runaway success from the moment she opened it. It was in an old house, and she really tapped into something that people were craving, which is that feeling of a connection to nature because you're eating something that is happening outside your door. You're eating plums and they're growing all over town on the trees. And it also tapped into the idea it's almost like going to someone's home for dinner. Someone with really good taste who can really cook. So that was what she wanted to do. And so that restaurant's been open for going on 54 years this year. And she also became very interested when she had her daughter. She became very interested in what her daughter was eating and what kids school were eating. There's a school that's in her neighborhood, Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School, and she used to walk through there every day between her house and the restaurant, and it was kind of a little dilapidated, and there was a huge 1 acre former parking lot that just had weeds growing out of the cracks and of the pavement. And she decided that it was an eyesore and it was ridiculous that the kids didn't have a green space on their campus. And so she called the principal and she said, "I think this is terrible." And he said, "I agree. And if you want to do something about it, go right ahead, lady." And so she got a group of people together and they raised money and they jackhammered up the concrete and they planted fava beans. And then there was a temporary building and they turned that into a kitchen. And she really, with the original teachers, developed this program, which is taking the curriculum from the schools. It's a middle school, so it's 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and teaching it in the kitchen classroom and the garden classroom. So this is a little bit that people sometimes misunderstand about the program, and understandably, because it's like, oh, it's cooking and gardening. And actually what it is it's really social studies and math in the kitchen, and it's biology and chemistry in the garden. And the teachers work really closely with the faculty at the school. They understand the curriculum that's going to be happening for each grade, and they integrate the curriculum. So it's really like a reinforcement of what the kids are learning in their curriculum. So humanities, social studies, science, and math all come to the garden. And also music comes to the garden sometimes. And, it's a space that is made available to teachers who also just want to bring their classes in for a one-off. So that just had its 30th anniversary. So it's been around for 30 years. So we run this program for the 1,000 kids that go to that school. We also run trainings. So people who want to learn how to put an edible schoolyard in their school. We have on our website, we have tons of resources, everything from lesson plans to how to make a container garden to ADA accessible, beds to everything you can imagine, fundraising, everything, legal advice about setting up a nonprofit. And then we also host trainings. So we bring educators to the site for multi-day trainings a few times a year, and we do virtual training. So it's a real it's a place that seeds other programs where people can come, educators can come and learn. There are now almost 7,000 edible schoolyards around the world.